Good morning. So today's project in the old shop. A good friend of mine said he needed a hand with some things. And one of those things is making some bucking spikes for this homelite chainsaw. Not this one. This is just like a sample that he gave me so I could just get the dimensions and the fitment and stuff like that. It's for a different saw altogether. And that bar doesn't fit on there. It's off of one of my saws, but it's just sitting there so that I kind of get an idea. I came up with a couple different patterns. I mean, there's nothing fancy. These aren't complicated things, but there's an opportunity here to make something look kind of cool, and I'm going to try to do that. So that's the 4-spike design. I got looking at it, and I'm like, man, I don't know. It could be a little more dangerous, you know? Like, I feel like more spikes has to be more dangerous. And so I made a 5-spike pattern. And the 5-spike pattern just doesn't look as deadly. I mean, yeah, you got more spike to no spike ratio, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm really on the fence about it. And I mean, at the end of the day, they got to work, and they don't even really have to look cool at all. But I mean, why not have it look cool, right? Like, this is an opportunity to make something look pretty deadly. So anyway, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut them out. I'll probably cut out one of each, maybe, or two of each, because they're different from side to side, because there's going to be one on the inside and one on the outside. The mounts are totally different. It's basically like I'm going to make four of them, but each one is different. So there's not really a way to fast track the process of making them, because each one of them is kind of a one-off. So I'm going to cut them out of some 10 gauge cold rolled. I have a plasma cutter, so I'm going to use that, otherwise known as the old fire scissors. So we'll cut them out with the old fire scissors and get to grinding on them. I'm really rusty at this kind of stuff. Once upon a time I was a steel fabricator. But I don't do that anymore. I run cement cranes now, so we'll see how rusty and out of practice I am. But I do like these kind of little projects, and I'm pretty stoked on it. There's a couple other little things we're going to do to this saw too, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, so I think I'll lay them out on the steel, and then we'll go from there. See how shaky I am when I get on that plasma cutter, because there's not really much point in making a template for something I'm only going to make one of, because then I have to make 4 templates to make 4 parts. It'll probably take me longer to make the templates than it would be to do even a mediocre job cutting them out and then touch them up with the grinder, right? So anyway, away we go. Alrighty. I think I said cold roll. I lied. This is hot roll. But regardless, that's not really all that important. Not sitting on there. So this is what we are gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna cut the 5-spike one out first. A guy could easily spray paint this to get this outline, but it's fall here and it's getting cold. It's already below freezing, and quite frankly, I don't need that much fumes in my life. So I'm just gonna trace it out with a Sharpie. It'll work good enough. That'll work good enough. So the plan is that I'm gonna freehand these on the plasma cutter, and any kind of shakiness or less than stellar performance on my end, because plasma cutters really are one of those tools where it's pretty much all in the operator. I haven't done much of it lately, so I'm out of practice. But yeah, any shakiness or ugliness, I'm just gonna touch them up with the grinder, and I can always make it look good after. From what I understand, these are going on a pretty hot rod little chainsaw, and going to a feller who's a legit chainsawer, a master of chainsawery, if you will, which is pretty cool, actually. I'm really into it. I really like doing stuff like this. I like little projects. I like one-off kind of stuff. gets me thinking and gives me a reason to get out in the shop. Something that this time of year is usually what I'm looking to do. The busy season for my work is all summer. So it's nice in the fall. It gets really busy in the fall because everybody's trying to get everything done before winter. But at the same time, I know that the light at the end of the tunnel is near and that things are going to slow down. And that's always nice to look forward to that. I really like spending winters in the shop. I got a bunch of projects this winter I'm going to be working on. I got a Jeep that needs a bunch of work, so we're going to do a bunch of work on that. It needs not too much, but just enough to make it not safe to drive on the road. And by not safe, I mean really not safe. It's got wheel bearings on it right now that are so bad that I'm actually surprised the wheel doesn't just fall off sitting in the driveway. So that's another project we'll be working on. A couple more magnets. We'll just use more magnets. Oh, these little buggers they got some snap to them. I can't remember where it was. At some point in time in my life, I was in the vicinity of some very powerful magnets. And I'll tell you what, you got to be careful with those things. You'll lose a finger with one of those things. If you let it come down on your finger, it's gone. It's funny, some things just seem so harmless in normal day-to-day life, and then you get around like an industrial version of them, and you realize the danger potential. I'm pretty stoked on this. It's going to be a fun little project. I'm not much of a chainsaw guy at the moment, but I am getting a wood stove installed in November. I could install it myself, but for the money these guys want to put it in and the fact I got to get it all inspected for my insurance and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? And this is a rare thing for me in life. I rarely pay people to do stuff for me. But this is going to be one of those times where I do. I kind of draw the line for me in terms of things I'm willing to do myself and things I'm willing to pay other people to do. For me, I draw the line at fixing computers and anything to do with climbing in my septic tank. I pay people for those things, but more or less everything else I do myself. I like to learn how to do new stuff and acquire new skills, and generally I'm very curious as to how the world works. I had to go for an MRI the other day, and I had a really good conversation with the technician that runs it because I was just curious about those machines. And it's kind of cool. Kind of cool how it all works. Maybe what you got there? Oh. Got my Golden in the shop with me today. She's been pretty adamant about following me around everywhere I go this weekend. To the point where I was going to visit some friends the other day, and she insisted on coming in the car for the ride. So, there we go. We are traced out. Oh, these little buggers just got some jam. Way to do it. Cool. So that's one of each. So those will be the ones. Let's see if we can show you here. These will be the ones that mount on the inboard side. Well, I don't know. I'm going to call it the inboard side, and then the outboard side, they're going to require a tab that comes out like this, so that it'll take the same two holes as the bar mount does. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, well, we got the plasma cutter all set up, and we're gonna try to freehand these out. It's no guarantees in life as to how they're gonna turn out, but so long as they don't take too much off, I can always fix them with the grinder, and that's how it's gonna go down. So, ground's on. I'm gonna run a little test cut and just see how it's running and see where I got her set. Things work better when you turn them on. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. There's enough air in the tank to run this thing. One thing I always like to do when I'm plasma cutting, I always like to kind of just mock cut it and just see where my hand position might come back and bite me. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. And here we go. Oh, I left a lot of material there. Oh well. So 10 minutes of grinding there. Ooh. Come on, darling. Well, she ain't the prettiest girl on the street, but I'll tell you what, we can make something out of that. It's not much work now to touch them up with the grinder. I wish I wouldn't have got dipped in there a little bit. It's going to make for a thin spike, but we'll see. I'm going to grind them up, see where they're at. I can always cut another one out. It only takes a minute, right? So there we go. That's the plasma cut. I'm just going to do one. The other one's the same, so, you know, just more loud noises. Not much point in filming that. I grinded them using a combination of my 4-inch angle grinder, those little 2-inch 3M twist lock discs. I think they call them roll locks. I used a tapered stone at one point in time on a die grinder to get in the radiuses, and they cleaned up really nice. I was very happy with it, actually. It wasn't nearly as bad as I anticipated it would be, even though my plasma cut was a little off the line on one of them. By a little, I mean way off the line. So here I got the 4-spike and the 5-spike one. It looks like one piece because they're clamped together, but I was just grinding them so that they're match, so that they're, you know, they're the same. But one's the 4-spike, one's the 5-spike. And I got the holes drilled for the mount on the 4-spike already, so what I'm going to do, some of you guys might not have ever seen these before, but they are handy. As I'm going to use my transfer punch, and I'm going to transfer the hole to the other one so that it's exactly in the center. It's perfect. I don't have to worry about holding the center punch straight. Figured I'd stop and show you that because it's a pretty useful thing. I always like to highlight useful tools, and I'm always on the search for cool tools that I've never seen before. And because I like a well-made tool, what can I say? It's handy. It's handy to have handy stuff. That's what we got. I got a little carried away. You know, the juices were flowing. We were working, we had the tunes bumping, and I didn't film all that much of the second one. But that's how it mounts up. That's how it looks, and I think it looks pretty goddamn angry. I like it. I like it.